Well, welcome everyone to this episode of Actually Olympia, the podcast. I'm your host, Jay Burney, City Manager. And with me, as always, my co-host, Kelly Purse-Brasa.
Hi, Jay. I think we need to let people know that there's a disclaimer because it's allergy season and we both have rolling coughs.
Yep.
And there's a scent of cough drop in the room. So if at some point it gets a little noisy in here, that's what's going on.
Yeah, my cough drops on the table here aren't a prop. So I have them in right now. I'm going to do my best to get through this podcast without coughing. But this is the real world.
It is.
And we shoot in real time. So here we are. This is life.
Here we are with our lovely husky voices.
Yes. Yes. Well, we've got a great episode today. We are going to talk about our youth council.
Yeah, it's really exciting to hear about them.
And we're going to start with Susan Grisham here in a minute, who is a liaison to the youth council. And then after we're done talking with Susan, we're actually going to have a couple members of youth council in today to talk with them.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to all these conversations.
Me too, because, Susan and I spend a lot of time together on camera. So she's sort of my council in 10 buddy and the person I'm most likely on TV with. So it feels very much like home.
Well, you got to go where the talent is, right?
Yeah, right, absolutely.
You got to go where the talent is. So, well, let's jump in and introduce Susan Grisham. So, Susan, welcome to the podcast. And I mentioned you as the liaison to the youth council, but you actually, that's not your title. That's not your actual job title. You actually do a lot of things for the city of Olympia. So, we always have this segment of telling us about your origin story. So, all superheroes have origin stories, kind of how they became superheroes. And our employees are just that. They're superheroes serving this community. So tell us a little bit about Susan, both kind of how you got into local government and kind of the origins of who you are. And then tell us about all the things that you do that serve the city of Olympia from day to day. So welcome.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Kelly. It's really exciting to be on the podcast. I get to see, in the periphery it happening. So I'm really excited to be here today. So a little bit about me. I've been working for the city in October, it'll be 10 years that I'll be here at the city. Previous to that, I worked almost a decade at the Department of Corrections. I was the assistant to the secretary, and I had a whole bunch of other roles in that organization. And that was really my entryway into working in government. Before that, I am from New York City, and I moved here in 2004, I believe. And before moving here, I worked in publishing. So I was a publicist for authors, New York Times bestselling authors. You name the kind of famous person, I've probably worked with them or
You mean like a Grisham?
Like a Grisham, yeah. Unrelated.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my job was to do a lot of media stuff, getting folks on TV, booking their tours, getting them on the radio. This was very pre-internet in some ways, as far as media goes. It was very young.
So you didn't book any podcasts back then?
No,
probably.
I did not book any podcasts. Those weren't even a thing. It was radio shows for the most part, NPR and stuff like that. My husband and I moved to Washington. He's originally from Olympia. I met him while he was going to school. And we moved here to just get his dad settled. He had gone blind, and our thought was to come here for a little while. And then we ended up staying. So we never made it back, but we've really made Olympia our home. And he grew up here and was able to show me just what a beautiful, welcoming community this is. So then, like I said, I started working in corrections. And then I moved on working for the city. And I like to say that I didn't really feel part of the city until I was working for the city.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really learned what a passionate, dedicated community we have. I get a front row seat to all of that. But then I also get to see the hardworking staff who really keep the city running and are really passionate about the work that they do. So my role here is officially assistant to the city manager. So I get to work with Jay and be his assistant. But I also wear a bunch of other hats.
Yes, you do.
I like to say that I'm the person behind the person in some ways. I help support our city council and their work. I am the city's legislative liaison. So during legislative session and also with our federal lobbyists, I help support that work, keep it moving, make sure that we stay connected to all the processes that are happening at the state and federal level. I also have the absolute pleasure of being the liaison to the Youth Council, which has been, it's almost 3 years now of work to help implement and start this process that has been so rewarding in so many ways, both personally and professionally. It's taken me a little bit out of my comfort zone. I don't have children, so it keeps me connected to young people in this community, which is really exciting. And it also gives me hope for the future and what's coming. We have our youth council is so ambitious, and it's really exciting. So I get to do that work, and then I help support other things going on all over the city, and it's really fun. Oh, I can't forget. Council in 10. Kelly got me in front of the camera, which is not a very comfortable place for me.
Not for most people, but
yes. But that's one thing about working for the city. It's helped me learn and grow, and how to be more comfortable being in front of issues, and really learning how to be an advocate for our city. It's been an adventure.
Well, go ahead,
I was going to say what people don't know, and maybe Jay doesn't even know this, is that we consider Susan the shadow member of the communication team. So we go to her all the time because of her experience in communication as a publicist, but also her judgment and her taste. It is we rely on her opinion on all kinds of things. So
Susan Undercover.
So
well, I deeply appreciate being able to tap into some of those skills that I don't necessarily get to do in my title, but I get to do just being adjacent to communications, and that's really exciting.
Well, Susan, I just want to say that I'm glad all those years ago when you decided to make Olympia home, that you made Olympia home and you stayed here, because you're making quite a positive contribution to the city that you live in all the things that you do. And so thank you for that. And let us get to know Susan a little bit. So we're going to jump into kind of the meat of the conversation, which is the Youth Council. And you've been working on the Youth Council, as you said, for about 3 years. So tell us about the journey from the beginning to end to get the Youth Council here.
Sure. So it all starts with a report card. So in 2021, we had some youth from the Olympia High School climate group come and basically give the city a C rating on a climate report card.
I remember.
Yeah. There was a die-in, and they told us there are things that we could be doing better. Because at the end of the day, while we're adults making decisions, we're stewards of the future for them, the future that they have to live in. And they have a stake in that game. And I think traditionally it's really hard for government to engage with young people. But they came to our door and they wagged their finger at us and said, you got to do better by us. We're inheriting all the decisions you're making and what you're doing. So a year later, our mayor pro tem, which I believe she was a council member at that time, brought forward a referral with the support of council members Madrone and former council member Parsley, to figure out how Olympia can stand up a youth council, how we can bring those very important voices to the table as decisions are being made about their future. So we did a referral in June of 2022, and through that process, we found Shuklusion, who has been a partner in this work. They are people who are really engaged in advocacy for underrepresented voices, and in particular youth. They help stand up youth councils in other cities. So we began that work. Basically that summer of 2022. So once we got that going, Shuklusion, through their work, engaged with youth across social, cultural, and economic group identities all across the city. This group, it ended up being about 60 young people in our community.
Awesome.
And they were called youth advisors. And we had meetings with those youth advisors to get feedback on what they would envision a youth council to be. There were surveys that were done, there were events held, and we were able to get a really good, strong feeling of what that would look like in Olympia. So concurrently with that, Shuklusion was doing research on what other youth councils look like across the country, how they run, what they do, the kind of work that they work, kind of items that they work on with their youth. And we were presented recommendations in October of 2023 that went forward to the city council for approval. And those were things that how many youth, how long they serve, all the nuts and bolts and details on how to stand up this youth council. So that was approved. And then throughout 2024, the youth advisors met and they worked on more of the details of what the youth council will look like. So they developed their standard operating procedures. They developed their mission, vision, and purpose, their community norms, what their subcommittees would look like. And then we went through a recruitment process. Many of the young people who participated as youth advisors ended up getting appointed. And then there were a couple of other folks that were added. And we did that through a recruitment event that the youth actually organized.
That's awesome.
Dictated, what it would look like, what it would sound like, who would be there, the activities. And that's one thing about all of the entire process with this youth council. We wanted to make sure it was something that was led by the youth, because I think it's easy for adults to think we know what youth need and what they want and how they want to do things. And we really centered their voices in this process to make sure that they were being the leaders and making the decisions for themselves. So in the absolute fabric of all of this work and everything that we've put together, they have really been the ones building it and weaving everything together to make it successful for them. So the Youth Council has officially started in January. So we seated 16 youth, and they've been meeting. They've met about 6 times so far, and they developed their own work plan, which was approved by the City Council. And we are off and rolling with the work that they're doing. They're really involved in the update to our comprehensive plan process. They're getting presentations and sharing feedback. And, our comprehensive plan is through 2045. And that's really the template for how we move our city forward.
They're going to grow up in that time frame.
They are, and this is the first time we have youth who are sitting at the table and providing the feedback on a plan that will follow them throughout their entire young lives. So it's been a really fulfilling to see that happen. But they're also doing things like planning. They're planning their next recruitment event, which will be in May, on May 17th here at City Hall. They are working on a joint meeting with the Lacey Youth Council. So knitting together the youth across the community to figure out how to support each other, to create resources for each other, and do some really, really awesome work. So we're still kind of in the beginning stages in a lot of ways. The meetings get better and better and more robust, and folks are coming out of their shells. And we're also really intentionally facilitating those meetings. We are still working with Truclusion, who really understand how to work with young people and facilitate meetings in a way where their voices are brought forward, and we create opportunities for those who maybe don't have as loud of a voice. So being really intentional about meeting design and working on things that they care about, and just making it youth-centered in a way that it doesn't feel like a lot of communities are really looking at. So it really is the Olympia way to make sure we bring voices to the table. And this has been a really meaningful experience for that.
I'll just say I'm so grateful to the first group of youth in 2021 that came forward, right? And put this out. I mean, so much of what we do sometimes is someone in the community shining a light on something that we're not paying attention to and asking us to pay more attention to it. And so I think that's been a gift in lots of different ways. And so it's led us here. Right. So in some respects, just to those students that were here, I just want to give you a shout out because you're making a difference and you've gotten us to this point.
I also, maybe you can talk to this too, but I had the pleasure of attending some of the early planning meetings with the student advisors, and those folks are just amazing balls. I could barely find my way home from high school, on a daily basis, and they're not only making these plans to sort of shape Olympia for themselves, but they're also going to math class and
being students during the day
and band practice and managing it all. So you talk a little bit about those young people.
They are so impressive in so many ways. Their intelligence, their creativity, their passion rivals any adult that I know. I think about when I was in high school, I really only cared about the world immediately around me,
Yeah, I
my
think that's
family, my
true.
friends,
Mhm.
whatever social things I was interested in. And these young people they are participating in groups, and they're already leaders at this young age. They're already leaders,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which is something that I think, we've all had to kind of work towards our leadership. And they are already standing in front of their peers and in front of adults and asking for what they need. And it's just such an impressive experience to witness
Yeah.
this and be around these young people. It inspires me all the time to be better, to think about things differently. So it's been a really meaningful experience in that way, because they show up and they know what they need, they know what they want, and they're not afraid to ask for it.
Yeah. And as you said, we're just scratching the surface because this is not only year one, month
Mhm.
4,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I think the future in terms of how they continue to engage with staff, with the council, with the community is going to continue to grow and grow. I'm really encouraged by their upcoming meeting, joint meeting with the City of Lacey Youth Council. That's a youth council that's been going for a bit longer than ours. So I think there's an opportunity for them to kind of learn more from cities around us, which is what we try to do all the time, is
Mhm.
work better regionally and work together. I say this all the time. We do much better work when we do it together than we try to do things solo by ourselves,
Mhm.
right? And that's when good things happen. So really excited for their work there, and just excited again to be at this point. And yeah,
Pretty cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Just amazing. Amazing.
And I see, I look around the room when I'm in those youth council meetings, and I see future council members, future adult leaders in this community. And the fact that they're also going to be interacting with the Lacey Youth Council, I feel like there'll probably be some folks in that group who might be on
Mhm.
the Lacey Youth Council.
Yeah.
Right.
So watching all of that and seeing how they want to collaborate with each other. So last year, the Lacey Youth Council had a resources fair for young people. This year, we're going to be planning with our 2 youth councils for next year to have a group summit that they're both planning together. So
That's amazing.
we're building kind of the infrastructure and fabric of collaboration across the cities, which is something that we do on a daily basis.
It is.
So it's kind of a cool thing to see us build that, or help them build that.
Yeah.
When I say this a lot, no one ever talked to me about working in government when I was in school.
Mhm.
I mean, we talk about all these other careers, and it just wasn't something that was something that I thought about. I mean, obviously I knew we had a government, and obviously I knew that that's how things worked, but I never really thought about it as a career choice. And I found my way into local government, and it's the thing I'm most grateful for, is that I found my pathway into local government. And I wish I'd found that path sooner. So as I see these youth engaged the way they're engaged, it just tells me that there's so much leadership potential that we haven't even experienced yet as a city and as a country, because the youth of this world are coming,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
they want to see things done a little different way.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to in more than a few years stepping aside and watching that happen, and bearing witness to it, because it's just something I'm super excited about. But
Well, and even before that, I mean, Olympia prides itself on being bold and leading on things that others aren't. I'm interested in how the youth even stretch that
yeah,
and stretch us and challenge us,
and push
push to be
us.
more bold and more out there. So
Yeah.
it'll be,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, really good times ahead. And so we're going to shift gears now. We're actually going to talk to a few of our youth council members. But Susan, I just want to thank you again for all of your work, and your work's going to continue with this group. And again, I'm excited to watch what they do. I'm excited for your work with them, and just grateful for you helping to get us to this point. So thanks for your work, and we'll be talking again.
Indeed. Well, thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure. And really excited that I got to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
There you go.
Welcome. So we're going to go
we'll
ahead
see you in
and
the chair.
Yeah.
On Wednesday.
That's right. We'll take a little break here and get our students in here, and we'll go from there. Okay, we are back. We took a short break to switch up our couch guests. We do a little presto changeo bring in new guests.
It's like magic. Magic.
It is like magic. So I'm excited that we have now 2 members of our youth council. So we have Nolan O'Connell and Shuruthi Lingam-Nattamai. So welcome to you both. So this is the Actual Olympia podcast, and we're talking about the youth council today. So why don't we start? Why don't Nolan, you start? Why don't you both tell us just a little bit about yourselves, your background, and how you got to be on the youth council?
Yeah, well, I've lived here my whole life. Oli has been my community, or Olympia, and I think just the culture around the city and what the city brings to its community members is just I guess just a big part of my life. A big reason why I want to keep on going and keep adding to this community. I think just everybody that lives here, everybody kind of brings in this like inclusive culture, and I just kind of want to be a part of it. Moving kind of towards the youth council, back a few years ago, there was just posts I saw online and through the newsletter and all that type of stuff about Olympia Youth Council Advisory Board. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. And my dad was like, you should do this. And like, he has a pretty influential part over my life. He brought me a lot into like the political area. He's been in politics a little bit here and there. And I think he is one of my people I look up to in life.
Love that.
So yeah, having that, it kind of pushed me like, well, I kind of want to step into footsteps like him. I want to do something for my community. And I was like, this is a great opportunity to do it. So I joined the advisory board, and it kind of just went for there, and I kind of just fell in love with the community and what I was doing. So
that's awesome. All good reasons, and shout outs to moms and dads out there everywhere that are really doing their part to get their children involved at deeper levels, which is really awesome. So thanks for that. So Shuruthi, tell us about you.
Yeah, so kind of like Nolan, I also have lived in Olympia my whole life. I really love this place. It's really welcoming, and like Nolan said, it's a really spirited place. I don't know, it's a beautiful place, and while it is amazing, there are many things that many people have wanted to fix, and what's so great about being so close to the Capitol is that we kind of have a lot of power to protest and do things like that. And I think that's something that's really important in our community and in communities all around the U.S. and all around the world. And so kind of what brought me into youth council is, like Nolan and I saw on social media that there was an advisory board, and it was something I wanted to be a part of, mostly because I had seen in school that there were things that people wanted to change in school. And I'm also part of something called Youth in Government, which I joined my freshman year, and it's basically mock government. And some people might ask, like it's fake government, like what's so like monumental about fake government? But it really teaches you to like take action towards what you want to be changed.
Yeah.
And so that really influenced me to join the youth council.
Well, that's a good reason. And, nothing is fake, right? It's everything is about what you make it, right? And even when we do things that are mock, it's about creating something and changing the dynamic and changing how we talk about things and calls for action in a different way. And right. And like you said, Olympia is a cool place to live in that we all live right next to the Capitol, right? So this ability to go and have your grievances heard right at the footsteps at the Capitol is pretty awesome, right? And even as a city manager, I from time to time join a march, right? Because I have my own things I care about outside of the things I do for the city of Olympia. So that's awesome. So, well, we're grateful you're both here, and you're 2 of 16 members of the youth council. So maybe over the next coming years, we'll bring some more members on and get to know all of you over time. But Kelly, where do you want to dig in?
Well, I want to dig in with, first of all, I really love the whole mock thing, because it also gives you experience. And this is all about gaining experience that you exercise now and exercise better later. So I think that's really cool. The whole fake government thing is.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what you're excited about for the youth council. What is in your plans, and what's making you want to show up and change?
I think I'm really excited for like the community to recognize the work that we kind of do. And like, as we do in more and more stuff, like, oh, Olympia Youth Council posted, oh, they have a new campaign out. Oh, they're doing this thing, this event. We should go out. We should go see that. We should go join in this conversation. Right.
Yeah.
I think once we start doing more and more things, and once we can build up a public profile a little bit more, I think just having other youth in Olympia recognize and like feel represented by what we do,
Yeah.
I think that's truly what I want to see. So yeah.
I feel like I've learned a lot from being in youth council, and so I really hope, or I'm really excited to, spread the knowledge that we've learned here outwards. Like, for example, we've learned a lot about transportation, and that's maybe something that
Yeah.
we want to, inform people about through the youth council. And we're also excited to, give out more resources to youth so they can, know what to do in Olympia and have more opportunities in Olympia, especially if they didn't know about them before. And yeah, I'm excited to work with other communities as well. Kind of like Nolan said, we're working with the Lacey Youth Council, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's really exciting. So I'm really excited to work with other youth councils and, bring the youth of Washington together.
Yeah. You've kind of hit on it a little bit, but when Susan was on the couch,
Mhm.
she talked about, kind of the origin of youth council is in 2021, we had a group of youth come talk to us about our work on climate. And basically, even though we were engaged in climate work, they basically said, you're not doing a good enough job, right? And they were holding us accountable to doing a better job of creating a better future for the youth in our area. And to some extent, it's what lit the candle to get us down a path here. But up to that point, we really hadn't heard a lot from youth in our area around things related to government. So talk just for a minute more about why is it so important that youth get engaged like you are in what's happening in their community rather than just participate in it, but get engaged in it? Why is that important?
I think we're the next people to lead this life, right? We're the next people to live in Olympia.
Yeah.
So in that, we have the responsibility to set ourselves up for success in the future. So if we're not active in participating now, our voices aren't going to be heard now. And with that, we're going to be not set up properly in the future. So we're not going to have a place that's diverse, that's equal, that has great opportunities for success, that is sustainable and economic, right? So doing all these things and supporting all what we want to see in the future of Olympia right now allows us to, once we're supporting the economy, once we're living in Olympia and having all these interactions as adults, we're going to be better set up for success, right?
Yeah. So you're laying the foundation for the future you, right? That will be back here, that will be the individuals that are living and running this city in the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We are a phrase that's used all the time is youth are the future. We are the future.
Yep.
And it's not we will be the future. We are the future right now. So why not work to make that change right now?
Love that.
And so it's important for us to, like he said, set up that foundation so that we could do that for ourselves in the future. And not only for the city, but for us as a community and as we move on and as we grow up, maybe stay here, maybe move out. It's really important for us to empower ourselves and teach ourselves that we can, we can speak to adults. We are worthy people just like adults are. We can fight for change just like adults do. Why is there an age limit to that?
And there shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, accountability happens at all levels, all ages, and government should be accountable to everyone because we serve everyone, right? And there isn't an age limit to who we serve. So I really, really appreciate that response because there's a lot of truth in that. And I think that gets lost sometimes in anybody that wants to address their government about things they're concerned about is, well, am I the right person? Should I do it? And the answer is yes. If you're concerned about it, you should step up and step forward. And so I'm really glad you're both doing that.
Yeah, and like you said, oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
And like you said, it's important for us to, show people that it's okay to, step up and step out.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what the challenge is to get that done.
I think there's a lot of people that see youth as someone who they're like children, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a voice. They don't have a reasoning behind things because they haven't lived life yet.
Yeah.
Right. So it's taking away that kind of stigma and saying yeah, we go through the same hardships as you. We live the same life as you. We have all these responsibilities that we're held accountable for, yet we're not allowed to impact our community at all. And we still do have a voice. So it's stepping up past that, kind of I feel like a lot of the time people see someone as like of a youth as like someone else's like child. Like
Yeah.
you have this big parental figure standing over you. So it's kind of like, well, you're them, right? When you're like,
Yeah.
you kind of have to represent your parents
Yeah.
in a way. So it's taking past that and saying like, hey, I have my own voice.
Yeah.
I go through different things as them, and I have a different impact for this community.
And different needs
Yeah.
from your government than your parents might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of adding on to what Nolan said. I mean, because of all those reasons, it's scary to put yourself out there. I mean, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to step up for what you believe in because, like, the status quo is something that's so normalized. It's so normal to just, stay where you are and just move along with life. But it's, yeah, it's hard to, move to change the status quo, but it's really important. And so,
Yeah. And you're also your whole group, all 16 of you, are taking that step in that direction, right? To try to change the status quo. I'm most excited about how you're going to continue to work with all of us and shape the work that we do and continue to look for bold ways to just nudge us a different direction, right? Because we need it very much. And so I think that as adults sometime, which you both are, and you're part of a youth council, but I think as older adults, we get pretty set in our ways of doing things. In fact, the whole reason we're sitting here doing a podcast is because my kids said to me, you're not reaching people of all age groups the way you're continuing to do things, that you need to broaden out and find different platforms because the old platforms are almost non-existent. All these new platforms are taken over as the way people are leaning and getting new information. So I think where you're going to really help us too is as we continue to work on our communication and how we communicate out, where are all the places that we're not communicating that we should be? And where are all the different ways and means that we should be? So we're really interested in that. But let's talk a little about your work plan for the year. So just some things that you might want to highlight. I mean, I think we talked a little bit, Susan talked a little about you're going to get, and you did too, Nolan, about getting together with the Lacey Youth Council and doing some work together. But things that you guys are really excited about in your work plan.
Yeah, I think one big thing, especially within the city this year, is the comprehensive plan, right?
Yeah.
I think that's definitely something you've written down, like, oh, we should definitely mention this.
Yeah.
Is we've had a few people come in from the city and present us on issues that are going through the comprehensive plan and how does the youth fit into that? Like, how are they represented? And that's like a big thing that was like brought up is like, is there wording in these documents? Is there wording to protect and to promote youth lives in Olympia? Like, how are we fitting the youth's needs? So through that, I think we've looked at a lot of, we looked at the transportation chapter and we looked at the public participation chapter so far.
Yeah.
And we've seen like, well, is this adequate for supporting the youth's needs? Is this what the youth want in Olympia? And we've had some recommendations that we've given so far just on how to word and how to like properly give the space for youth
It's
in
already
Olympia.
shaping.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, we were talking about that with Susan. I mean, it's a plan that goes out to 2045. I mean, you're going to live through all those years between now and 2045. That's a big piece of your early adulthood is that piece. So, you both talked about kind of laying these foundations, and the comp plan is just that, right? It's this long-term vision for what our community wants us to be, and no better voice for that than the youth right now. So glad you're doing that work. Yeah. Yeah. What else are you excited about?
Yeah, so we are also doing a lot of work, with our social media, as you said. A lot of teens and youth now are on social media, Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff.
Yep.
I don't know a single person who probably isn't on one of those platforms, so it's really important that we expand and reach our whole youth population. Also, I think we are also working on a lot of PSAs, kind of going along with the comprehensive plan, for example, along with the transportation chapter like we were just talking about. And we're on our plan, we're also planning a recruitment event to recruit more people for the youth council, and so on the second Saturday of May, I'm pretty sure. So that's really exciting and fun to, bring more people into the youth council and show them why this council is so great and amazing.
Yeah, it is. And, the other one that I'm really excited about too is you guys are starting to develop some things that are really important to you. So, for example, I think you're having Katie Strozik from the Thurston Opioid Task Force come and talk with you soon. Because I think there's a lot of concern about the rise in drug use and amongst youth. And I think that's something you guys are paying attention to at your level. I think even more so than adults might be paying attention to it. And so I think it's great that you guys have brought that up. And I think you're going to do a PSA around it. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's really exciting to me.
Yeah. So one of the main things that came up this year is there has been some people that we've known who've had drug overdose problems and drug problems in general.
Yeah.
So we think it's important because even us sitting in that room, we didn't know really the safe and proper ways to go through this. And they were like, we want to educate ourselves on this. And it's like, well, if we don't know this, does anybody in the youth of Olympia know this? So it was like, well, we could help do that, right?
Yeah.
We can help make Olympia a more safe community. And we think it's very vital for our community to thrive on the health and safety. So going through and doing like a PSA and like showing what resources are available within our community and highlighting those for youth members to see how to safely go about and to lead a safe life, right?
Yeah.
And it's really important to mention, like, throughout Olympia and even the whole United States, there are so many cases of, drug misuse or drug abuse or even unsafe environments, wherever it may be, whether it be in colleges and other places like that. And it's really important to highlight almost drug epidemic that's started in our country.
Yep.
I mean, it's really sad, and it's heartbreaking to see like teens and students getting into those avenues.
Yeah.
And it is something that we want to highlight and show the importance of, at least in the city of Olympia. But
well,
too.
I am very grateful for that work. I think when we talked about youth council, we knew there's things that I think it's easy to say there's things we'd want the youth to get engaged in, like the comprehensive plan. And then our hope was that you would then bring things like this that you think are important for us to be talking about in the community. This is one of them. I think we all have a lot of sleepless nights worried about all of our loved ones and all the things that are out there and the things we have to worry about. And this is one of them. Right now it is an epidemic across the country. There aren't near enough resources, and there's more we should be doing to educate people about it. So I think you guys highlighting it and bringing it forward as a PSA is great. So it's just one of many things that I know is on your guys' agenda. But
I have this thing that's been sticking in my mind. So you guys are foundational members of the youth council. Your ideas are shaping the very first work plan. You're doing things that are impacting your peers now and impacting the city now and into the future. So 5 years from now, you're out of college, you're in your careers, you're wherever you are, and you look back and see Olympia's youth council and it's successful. What does it look like?
I think for the youth council to be successful in the future is just to keep agitating issues that are pertinent to the youth who see some problem that they want to fix, and for them to step up and take that role and to correct it, right? Is to really get in there and say this is wrong and this should be fixed, and to go in there and say how to do it, how they're going to go around doing it, and how they're going to activate their community to ensure that gets fixed, right? So any issue that we see in Olympia, whether it is safety related or if it's climate related, as what brought up the main reason for the youth council, any of these issues that are pertinent to the youth, for them to step up and take that role. And I think that's what kind of the youth council allows, is it's like this direct, like,
Yeah.
right into the city of Olympia. So yeah.
Yeah, Nolan pretty much covered it. I think another thing is the youth council becomes like a normalized part of, the city of Olympia and how the city runs, and it becomes a normalized part of the even city council. And
Yeah.
so I hope it kind of becomes like something that's talked about, and that can only obviously happen with more work that we do, and the more change that we make in the city. And so I just hope it becomes something where youth can bring their problems, youth can come and bring their problems, and we can work to fix it. It's kind of like how the actual city council
Yeah.
runs.
Well, I hope those same things. And as long as I'm city manager, we're going to continue working hard at it. And as long as I've got a few council members that are here that are engaged in this work too, this is going to continue, right? So I think it's always not where you start, it's how it progresses, right? And the success of it's not just on you, it's on all of us. It's on everyone in this room and everyone outside this room to give you the tools and resources that you need to feel empowered to step up, as you said. So what else do you want us to know about the Youth Council? Just anything else that you want to talk about here, that anything we haven't asked you or you'd like to get on the record?
Yeah, I think we mentioned it slightly before, but we are having a recruitment event later this year
Yeah.
within City Hall. So it's going to be right in the same building that we're sitting right here today. And it'll be May 17th. And it's going to be mostly a social event, and we'll have a little presentation, and we'll have a few speakers. And I really just hope that everybody who wants to have a voice in Olympia that is a youth comes out and participates and greets and meets us, and maybe wants to join the council and come support the work that we do. So yeah,
We also have food.
Oh,
There's
very
also gonna be
important.
Very
food.
important.
you'll be well fed here.
I'm old, but I'm hungry.
So even
Yeah.
if you don't want to speak, there's food.
Yeah.
There'll be some fun games too, so it's not just all serious business work.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and this recruitment event is for the applications that will also be opening, I think, in May. And so that's really important for expanding our youth council and
Yeah.
bringing more youth on board. We're really excited for that, and we're really excited to grow the youth council to be even bigger and better, and to better and greater things.
Which I know it will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got you too.
any youth listening, there is always food at our meetings. So
We
that's
always
one
have
of-
snacks.
One of our business items that we talk about every single time is what food is going to be at the next meeting.
It's important.
Yeah.
You know, we've learned just even at a lot of the meetings that we do, food for whatever reason brings people out. And a lot of it is because people lead busy lives. And if you're going to ask people to engage and give up some of their time, then you got to make it easy for people to do that, right? Food and, you know, we think about things like childcare and other things that people need in order to be able to participate in government in a meaningful way. And so you guys are setting a standard, and we'll continue to build on that standard as we continue with a lot of our programs. But Nolan and Shruthi, I really want to thank you both for taking time out of your day and being here with us. And I hope to have you guys back soon, maybe for some regular updates, and just a lot of gratitude to both of you for your time. And please share out to the rest of the Youth Council that you are here and how much they're valued and how much appreciation we have for them. And I'm just excited to see what the future holds with the Youth Council. I know that you guys are going to do amazing things, and I'm just really glad I get to be here to bear witness to it.
Thank you so much.
I just think you guys are such amazing human beings. It makes me feel, as Susan mentioned, makes me feel good about the future of our community, that you guys are the kind of leaders that are rising even now.
Yeah. And now more than ever.
Now more than ever.
We need our voices.
Yeah.
So very important.
And thanks to you guys for, letting this all happen and helping us move so far forward. I mean, I feel like without, Susan and everyone here, it would not have been the same sort of effort.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys once again for being here. And Kelly, take us home.
All right. Well, thank you guys. It was a fun conversation. And thank you, the community, for listening. It was wonderful getting to learn more about our Youth Council and the wonderful things they're going to bring and the bright future they're bringing. So the question is where to find this.
Where can I find it,
podcast.
Kelly?
You can find it anywhere there's a podcast, Jay. Apple to Spotify. So we also have a video version on OlyTV3.com, my favorite place to be. You can download the Oli TV app. Do you have it on your phones? Oh, see, look at that.
Yeah. Shruthi's going to get it.
I'll
You're gonna
download
just download that app because it's really good. It's really good. Okay. So I also have a little call to action. We don't have a mailbag right now, but please do send us your questions.
The mailbag's empty.
The mailbag is empty, and this podcast is supposed to be what we want it to be, is a touch point for the community. So hit us up with your questions so we can take a moment at the end to answer them. And we're excited to do that. So you can also show us some love by subscribing to our podcast, leaving a rating, a good one. We only want the good ones. Yeah. And a review, a good one. And you can also recommend the podcast to your friends, your family, people you don't like, strangers on the street. Tell us about it. So, but we also want you to stay connected to the city, to what's happening to the city. Visit us online on our website, subscribe to one of our e-news, follow us on social media. And, like I said, send us some topics that we can talk about on these, on the podcast also. So, we're going to have next month, we hope to be talking to some of the new faces at the city. Looking for that. And also thank you to the folks out there, the podcast staff out there keeping the cameras rolling and the microphones on. And so that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.